Alright guys, these are our objectives for this lesson. So we're going to be working on comparing and contrasting first-person narrative points of view, and we're going to apply cross-text analysis by writing a compare-contrast paragraph. So let's begin. Alright, now we've read two texts in the first-person narrative point of view. Remember, first person is when we use words like I, like you're the main character in the story. There was a bird's free lunch, and there was the Shimurdas. And we're going to be comparing and contrasting these first-person narrative point of views to show how your point of view about a topic might be the same or how it might be different. So let's look at this first part. A bird's free lunch down here is what's called a literary nonfiction. The Shimurdas is a work of fiction. Both selections have narrators. The narrator of A Bird's Free Lunch is John Burroughs, while the narrator of the Shimurdas is Willa Cather. But remember, it's actually not the author because it's being told by a person, Jim Burden. So narrating the Shimurdas is not the author, it's actually Jim Burden who's telling us the story. Although one is real and the other fictional, both are narrators and both are telling stories from a first-hand point of view. Now, we're going to be filling out this chart over here. Right down here, this compare and contrast chart for our idea today. So our first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the genre. And we're going to think, how is the genre the same and how is it different? Well, in A Bird's Free Lunch, we already said what it was. It's a literary non-fiction. So that's one way that's different. And in the Shimurdas, what's its genre? Well, it's a literary fiction. It's fake. So now that we have these ready to go, let's continue on down now. Who is our narrator? Well, the narrator is the author. In this case, it's a real person. And who's our narrator in the Shimurdas? Well, it's Jim Burden, and he was a fictional character. So now, another way we can look at it is the age of the narrator, because that experience, how old or young they are, is also going to affect it. Now, the narrator in A Bird's Free Lunch was an adult, whereas the narrator in the Shimurdas was a boy. Now, how about the location of the narrator? Where was it located? Well, this one was inside his home. Remember, he's looking outside and observing those birds. Well, this one over here is he's kind of sitting in a garden. And now what do we have for our actions of the narrator? Well, what does our narrator do? Well, he's observing and watching what? A bird. But in this one over here, he's not just watching a bird, but he's observing many different animals. So this is an example of this chart that we can use to provide similarities or differences. Now notice a lot of these are differences because the location's not the same. This one's different because he's observing one bird versus different birds. But we can also take it and show how they're similar. Who is the narrator? Well, we could also say, for the comparison, we could say, well, they are both people, because they are. The contrast is one's real, one's fake. We could do the same thing here for location of a narrator. We can have location of a narrator as he is inside his home versus he is sitting in a garden, but they're both near where they live. So we can take these and show how they're similar or different. Now, what you're going to do is you guys are going to write a paragraph to show how they're similar and to show how they are different. So one paragraph with text support to say how they're similar and different. Just one paragraph. Good luck, guys.